You're the Director of Education for FANUC.
That's correct. Good morning.
And thanks so much for being here. So, first of all, the Director of Education, it's not something that we oftentimes hear within robotics and automation companies who are in the manufacturing space.
Right. Yeah.
How did that get started?
Right. So, well, it's an interesting story, really, but it is very unusual for us to have an education group within the company. You often hear of training. We do a lot of training. In fact, we train probably 6,000 to 7,000 people every year at FANUC Academy, which is our training center. But those are our customers' employees. And what we were finding is that we didn't have enough people understanding the technology around the company, around the country, closer to our customers, who are the employers. So we created an outreach program to actively work with schools all around the country. And a lot of that stemmed from an early survey that was done, about 32,000 high school students, and they were asked, what did you learn about manufacturing and education?
Yeah.
And they all started talking about, well, we learned about Henry Ford and the assembly line and so on, and went on. And then the other question they asked was, well, what class did you learn that in?
Yeah.
And they said history. And it's like, so we aren't even teaching about this world of automation that we live in today and how advanced it is. So that was a huge challenge for us. And then the other aspect when we looked at schools and how they were teaching was they were using older, outdated, donated equipment that our customers, manufacturers, were getting rid of.
Yeah.
And then, or they were using equipment that was considered to be equivalent to industry or taught the same principles. So we wanted to flip that whole paradigm in education and work through that.
So you just mentioned history. It's in the history books, and you've touched on some of the things I'm about to ask you, but to get even more, let's say, explicit about it, why is this so important right now?
Well, I think now more than ever, we have such a skills gap. We've had a skills gap, but you can't find people. Mm-hmm. And, there was every time we go out, we talk to customers about solving their problems. Any type of manufacturing challenge they have, we work through those solutions. But their number one issue that they talk about is workforce. Okay, it's great, I've invested all this money in technology, now I need to find people. And it's our belief as a company that the only way for companies to maximize their investment in technology is to have a skilled workforce. Have people that understand it, can exploit that technology and take it even further for us.
I love the perspective, and I've actually never thought of that before, right? The initial introduction to manufacturing that kids get when they're in high school is manufacturing that is hundreds of years old, not 100, but 100 years old, and that's what they know about the current state of manufacturing. And they get a lot of hand-me-downs, which we appreciate companies investing in doing, but once again, it doesn't set them a clear understanding of what current technology is available.
Right.
So how are you now working with high schools, vocational schools, community colleges, universities to better equip them and train them to be a good candidate to fill that skill gap in our industries?
Well, what we've done, so we have what we call the FANUC Education Grant. So we go in and we talk to schools about implementing a real industrial robotics or CNC program or systems type training program. And then that school, the goal of that is that they're using the newest technology, the latest and greatest technology, so that students come out with relevant skills. In doing so, we provide a grant to the school that pays for all of the instructor training, all of their curriculum, all of their e-learning, simulation software, so they can instantly stand up an industry-aligned program for education. So we've done that now at over 1,500 schools around the country. So since right around the middle of 2010 to today, FANUC has invested almost $70 million into the educational system. So it's each one of those grants is about $320,000. And what's nice about it is students are coming out in high school with industry recognized certifications, skills to be able to enter the workforce. Community colleges have the same type programs embedded into a one-year program, a two-year program, and universities. The same EEs and MEs that are coming out of a university degree engineering program still need to understand automation and PLCs and systems, so they have to have that hands-on skill. And our goal is to try and make that easily accessible within schools.
Absolutely.
How do you measure the success of a program like this? How do you know it's working?
So, well, there's probably a lot of metrics that we could use. One of the ways we measure it is we go back and talk to every school about their hire rate. I would say probably 95% of the community and technical colleges programs that we have, their students are hired within the first year of a 2-year program. It's interesting you ask that because I was at a conference and we had a couple of companies come up and said, yeah, you know, there's schools that you work with near us and we keep sending them job postings and we never get anybody apply for a job. And I turned to them and said, well, you never will get anybody apply for that job because those students are already hired. You have to get in and meet the students. You got to introduce them to your company and what you do and inspire them to come work for you versus somebody else.
So let's talk more about what you guys are doing today or this week at Automate with the Education Pavillion. Walk us through, for those who can't be here or haven't had a chance to walk through that area, those roads yet. What is the Education Pavillion bringing or doing to educate everyone who's attending here?
Okay, so FANUC, in addition to our main booth, we sponsored the Education Pavillion, which this year we brought 16 academic partners, so schools, high schools, community colleges, universities. Actually, Focus Hope is here from right in the city of Detroit. They're a community organization for training. But we have them all into one area so that visitors, attendees to the conference can walk through and see that there are schools that are teaching on the same technology that as you walk through the whole Automate show, you see that technology there. It's been tremendous. We've had end users, customers out there. We've had integrators. We've had other companies come through. Every one of them saying, you know, we need to hire more people. How are you training? What's the process for training? And then how do you validate the training? And I think that goes to your question as well, is how do we measure it? So we can have a great training program, but you have to measure that skills that they've obtained. So we've worked with 2 different certification bodies. Our primary partner for certifications is called NOCTI, which is the National Occupational Competency Testing Institute, so kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But they are DOL and DOE approved. They are completely independent of FANUC. So we look at it as we're training to standards of skills. They're measuring to that standard, but independent of us. So we're not self-credentialing anybody. They have to pass that certification, and it's a legally defendable credential as opposed to a certificate of course completion. Those are the things that really stand out, and that's what employers are looking for.
So let's kind of put all this together, right? FANUC sells robots. So why is this so important to your customers?
So it's incredibly important to them. So they're all over the country, all over the world, and they're really in the same boat that everybody is. They're trying to find people. So hiring somebody that already has learned some of those skills increases both the retention and their ability to attract individuals to work for them. So for us, it was paramount. We have great technology, like everybody has great technology, but having a workforce that understands it was key.
Awesome. So can you share I love hearing about stories. Can you share a specific success story or a story that comes to mind on a local high school or vocational school that you guys went in and impacted and it kind of started to change how the local manufacturers then started to grow and how they started to adopt automation? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of success stories, and this to me is what really makes it, very rewarding and very passionate for me. We were in a high school in Ohio, not far from here at all. And a lot of the employers in the area, Honda, Cub Cadet, Whirlpool, all looking for people, but for their skilled positions within the plant, they required a minimum of associate's degree for that program, but they weren't finding enough people. So we brought them into the high school and said, look at these students at a junior and senior level in high school are learning robotics, they're learning PLC, they're learning hydraulics, pneumatics, they're learning OSHA safety. And we talked to one of those employers, big automotive company there, that said, well, we'll change our hiring requirement if these individuals have these 4 credentials to start. Now, those high school programs are dual credit within that whole process. So they're earning college credit. So that employer hired a student at $28 an hour right out of high school with a 1 year of college credit under his belt, and they paid for him to complete his associate's degree. A year later, that student came back to talk to the class, said, I now work for this major automotive company. I'm now making $32 an hour. I have my own car. I live in my own house, all these types of things. And he went back and he said, but the most important thing for me is, he said, I now make more money than my father.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I'm helping them out. So those are the type of stories that you just go, oh my gosh, it's incredible that you're changing lives, or showing opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What an amazing different career path that he took versus what traditional people are taking, going to a 4-year degree, not for sure exactly what they're even going to go to, so they're just kind of spending time doing all the basic liberal arts courses, graduating with $35,000 in student debt, and then not even getting a job that they got a degree for, yet here's this kid right out of high school who has a massive opportunity for future career growth for years to come.
Yeah, it's not limited. It's high demand, high growth potential, high pay. You know, getting that value proposition, one of the things we found is that it's not parents or teachers or counselors that have an impact on a student's career path. It's really their experiences. So part of our effort bringing technology into the classroom was to create experiences. Students don't know what they don't know about our industry. Sometimes we can be pretty guarded on what we do and what careers are out there. But by bringing the technology into the classroom, you've opened the doors to possibilities, and it's really, for everyone, for girls, for boys, for underrepresented individuals, at risk, youth, all of those areas, and we've addressed it not just in the academic area, but also we have part of the transition assistance program in the military. We're part of returning citizens, for those that are justice-involved individuals. So we actually have our training programs in prisons. We have them on military bases. So trying to capture all of the potential workforce and show them that there's career opportunities.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about what you're doing today, current state of the industry. Paul, I want you to look inside of your crystal ball and tell us, maybe if it's a specific stat or where you think this stat might be in 1 to 2 years, but what is your prediction for how the industry is going to continue to evolve, get more people involved in the next 1 to 2 years?
Well, I think the perceptions are finally changing, that automation and robots are always perceived that they take away jobs. I think that for us has always been a challenge. I think that's gone. I think people are starting to understand that automation makes companies more profitable, reliable, the quality increases, it allows companies to expand, which means they hire more people. So for us, I think this is going to continue. I think that the ability to attract students into this industry is going to continue to grow. I think that the skills that are required are going to continue to expand, with collaborative robots and vision systems and area scanners and bin picking and things that we just keep introducing more technologies, and these students are like sponges. They just want more of it. So I always say there are 3 elements that anybody needs to know to get into this industry. You got to understand automation, whether it's robotic or CNC. You got to understand process control and PLCs, but the digital thread that weaves between them, the communication, the Ethernet, all of the things that join our technologies together, that is the digital piece, and that takes us into AI and predictive analytics and all that. So understanding a little bit about connective devices, technology, process control, and automation.
Awesome.
You can write your own ticket. So.
Well, Paul, Director of Education for FANUC, thank you so much for sharing some insights and just the clear passion that you have to drive our future workforce forward in our industry. We can definitely see it.
Good. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks for talking this morning.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Paul.
Jake Hall, Chris Luecke, we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thank you.